The name Lana Wood is associated with tragedies and unsolved mysteries in addition to Hollywood. No one could have imagined that she would end herself on the brink of despair, even if she was once the stunning Bond girl from Diamonds Are Forever. Lana Wood lost almost all that she had previously had, including fame, attractiveness, and a successful job. She endured the excruciating grief of losing her sister, Natalie Wood, whose death is still unknown, 6 unsuccessful marriages, and betrayal by those she trusted. She was abandoned by Hollywood, who left her destitute and fighting for her life. Her tenacious 40-year fight to unearth the truth of Natalie Wood's death, secrets, contradictory testimony, and undiscovered conspiracies against strong forces alone, however, was what most enthralled the globe. Today, we explore the little-known tale of Lana Wood, who went from being a movie star to a strong woman who fights for justice. What is the reality? What is being concealed by whom? Let's investigate. Born Svetlana Lisa Gurin in 1946 in Santa Monica, California, Lana Wood was descended from Russian immigrants. Maria Zudova and Nicholas Zakharov, her parents, were refugees who had left Russia during the Civil War when they were young. Although Lana's grandpa, a chocolate factory worker, had lived in Vlavo with her paternal family, he was slain in a street fight in 1922 for resisting the Bolsheviks. The whole family was compelled to escape their nation after that awful incident, first to Vancouver, British Columbia, and then to San Francisco in pursuit of better prospects. The history of her maternal family was equally terrible. After the Red Army murdered his oldest son in 1918, Lana's grandpa, who had owned a soap and candle business in Barno, was forced to flee. Her mother, Maria, married her first husband, Alexander Tloff, in 1925 after the family left Russia and relocated to a Russian settlement in Harbin, China. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1936, although they did have a daughter, Olga Verf. After Maria married Nicholas Zakharov in 1938, they moved in with their daughter, Olga. Thereafter, the family relocated to El Cerrito, California, and finally made Santa Monica, close to Hollywood, their permanent home. Lana Wood, born Svetlana Gurin in 1946, and Natalie Wood, born Natasha Zakharov in 1938, were the couple's other 2 children. Lana had to live under her elder sister's looming shadow from a young age. Inspired by director Sam Wood, RKO studio officials chose to alter Natalie's last name to Wood when she started her film career. In order to keep up with Natalie's rising stardom, their mother insisted on giving Lana the surname Wood as well by the time she earned her first part in The Searchers, 1956. Maria was a domineering and ambitious mother who was certain that the only way to succeed was in Hollywood. At all costs, she pushed her kids into the entertainment business. Lana was never offered an option, even though she had no interest in acting. Her life had been predetermined from an early age, both as Natalie Wood's younger sister and as someone who was supposed to follow their mother's planned course. In the 1947 movie Driftwood, Lana Wood had her on-screen debut at the age of 1, but her part was removed from the finished product. Her mother persisted in pushing her youngest daughter into supporting parts, often making fleeting appearances in Natalie starring films. When she was chosen to play Natalie's younger part in The Searchers in 1956, it was her first significant break. For the first time, the name Lana Wood really showed up on film, although as her sister's shadow rather than as a real person. She met John Wayne, the universally revered movie hero, on set. However, his sole impression on Lana was one of apathy. Wayne detested kids and paid no attention to her. Lana was used to being ignored in favor of Natalie, but she still felt alienated in the environment she was compelled to live in. Lana Wood slowly emerged from Natalie Wood's engulfing shadow and established her own career by the 1960s. In 1966, she had her first significant breakthrough when she was cast as Sandy Weber in Peyton Place, one of the most watched television shows at the time. Lana proved she was more than simply Natalie's younger sister by becoming well known to audiences in less than a year. Her career, however, wasn't always easy. She declined a part in the movie 5 Easy Pieces, which would go on to become a classic in 1970. Later on, Lana would acknowledge that it was the biggest mistake of my life, since the part made Karen Black a household name. A year later, however, she was given an even greater chance that would solidify her reputation as a sensuous icon. Plenty O'Toole in Diamonds Are Forever, 1971. In addition to being gorgeous on film, Lana's role as a Bond girl included one of the most iconic moments of her career, her character being flung from a hotel window and into a swimming pool. The scene gained notoriety and grew to represent more than simply glitzy film. Hollywood saw her more as a decorative item than a professional actor, and it uncannily mirrored her real-life fate, dazzling but dangerous. However, the off-camera events were much more captivating than the on-screen action scenes. James Bond actor Sean Connery fell in love with Lana when they were working together. Connery's powerful, authoritative on-screen persona was reminiscent of real life. However, Lana said that underneath his charisma was a guy troubled by his own problems, particularly since his career was starting to stall. Although the two had private times together, their relationship was never sustained. Although it was a brief encounter, Lana learned that there were unspoken mysteries hidden beneath every legend. That same year, Lana made news once again when she appeared on the cover of Playboy at the age of 25. She accepted her erotic persona without question, but this choice had repercussions of its own. Although the people loved her, Hollywood's perception of her changed when she became a sex icon. She was no longer regarded as a serious actress by filmmakers. The majority of her later parts were cameos in TV shows such as The Fugitive, Bonanza, Mission Impossible, and Fantasy Island, which helped her maintain her career, but never allowed her to become an A-list star like Natalie. She starred in more than 300 television shows over her career, demonstrating that she was a committed and hard-working actor rather than merely a passing Bond girl. Lana never achieved the same degree of fame as Natalie, however, in spite of her many TV appearances. Her greatest hit, Diamonds Are Forever, was also a dangerous turning point in her career. She was once regarded as a potential actress, but now she was called a former beauty, a moniker she never wanted to live with. Although Lana Wood had brief periods of fame throughout her career, her personal life was a never-ending maelstrom. Similar to how she was often cast in sexy but fleeting parts on television, her real-life romances were also short-lived and turbulent. Despite 6 marriages and several romances with Hollywood's top men, she ultimately never felt like she belonged. At the age of 16, Lana Wood wed Jack Moore Jr., the son of well-known producer Jack Rather, for the first time in 1962. However, the marriage was dissolved within a year, most likely due to immaturity more than true love. She married Carl Brent again, less than 2 years later in 1964, but their relationship was brief and terminated within a year. She married actor Stephen Oliver for the 3rd time in 1966, but they divorced after just a few months. Dr. Stanley William Vogel exhibited the same trend in 1968. The public hardly had time to recall Lana's husband's names before she was seen with someone else, since these marriages were so short-lived. She didn't really come into the spotlight until 1972, when she married Richard Smedley. This was the first time she became a mother, and the marriage that lasted the longest, 4 years. In 1974, Evan Taylor Maldonado, her daughter, was born. However, despite having a kid, the marriage failed, and in 1976 they were divorced. Lana married producer Alan G. Balter for the last time in 1979, but the marriage collapsed within a year. Lana never found long-term contentment in marriage, but she was never without high-profile connections with the greatest names in Hollywood. She dated Warren Beatty, one of Hollywood's most infamous playboys, Dean Stockwell, Elizabeth Taylor's ex-husband Eddie Fisher, and, most famously, Ryan O'Neal. While working on Peyton Place, Lana and Ryan got to know one another and had a short but intense romance. Lana clung to happy memories of their time together in spite of the subsequent problems involving Ryan and the terrible split with his kid. Her romance with Sean Connery on the set of Diamonds Are Forever was one of the most rumored relationships of her life. Connery was already seen as a charming yet arrogant individual. It could have been less about a genuine relationship and more about Lana being captivated by the charms of a legend. Lana Wood reflected on her experiences with love, including whirlwind marriages, passionate but short-lived loves, and the sadness that no one ever remained. She was a lady seeking security in a chaotic environment, despite her self-assured facade. However, it's possible that Hollywood was never a place for enduring love. However, the destruction caused by losing her sister, Natalie Wood, on that tragic night in 1981 was worse than any heartache, failed marriage, or lost love. It was a catastrophe that permanently changed the trajectory of her life, not merely the death of a cherished brother. She went from being a well-liked actress to a woman who dedicated her life to fighting for justice, standing up to the influential people in Hollywood, particularly Robert Wagner, whom she suspected of being responsible for Natalie's murder. As is well known, Natalie Wood, her husband Robert Wagner, co-star Christopher Walken, and the yacht skipper Dennis Davern boarded the Splendor on the evening of November 28, 1981. She was wearing a long coat, stockings, and a flimsy nightgown when her corpse was discovered floating close to Catalina Island the next morning. Her death was first declared an accident, purportedly brought on by sliding and plunging into the sea. However, nothing about the news made sense to Lana as soon as she heard it. Lana remembered a weird feeling of discomfort that evening. She couldn't sleep, and neither could her mother. She eventually fell asleep at approximately 5 in the morning, but was woken up not long after by a friend calling to tell her that Natalie had drowned. She did not accept it, but the terrible truth hit her as she switched on the TV and watched the live newscast. Something didn't seem right, even in the middle of her pain. In the chilly, dark night, how could Natalie, who had always been afraid of the ocean, willingly board a little boat? After listening to Captain Dennis Davern's account of that evening, Lana's doubts intensified. He said Natalie and Robert Wagner had been in their bedroom having a furious quarrel. Things were flung across the room as the altercation got out of hand. Davern even knocked to see if everything was well, but Wagner only clenched his teeth, opened the door open a little, and replied, "Everything is fine," before slamming it shut. Davern heard Wagner and Natalie fighting on the deck a few moments later. Natalie yelled, then, all of a sudden, quiet. Davern hurried up to see Wagner standing by himself. Natalie had left. Even more terrifying, rather of immediately contacting the police or putting on the lights to look for her. Instead, Wagner sat down to drink with Davern and commanded that no lights be turned on or searches be done. In response to Davern's insistence on contacting the police, Wagner said, "No, this will cause too much trouble. We don't want the press involved." He grudgingly reported Natalie missing just a few hours later. However, he called his lawyer first, not the cops. Natalie's body was found to be covered with bruises, which was uncommon for someone who had just fallen into the water. However, because of Wagner's Hollywood connections, the matter was swiftly resolved with the accidental drowning verdict. Lana, however, never believed this tale. She had openly expressed her misgivings about Robert Wagner from the start. Nonetheless, Wagner had a huge impact at the time. He was more than simply a well-known actor. He had close ties to the media and Hollywood's elite. He quickly silenced everyone who ventured to criticize him. Lana was no different. She never quit up, however. She described Natalie's life and the troubling circumstances surrounding her death in her book Natalie, a book by her sister, which was released in 1984. Hollywood, however, disregarded it. Lana steadfastly pushed to revive the case for decades. She collected witness statements, collaborated with law enforcement, made appearances on media shows, and persisted in asking, "Why has Robert Wagner never cooperated with the police?" She discovered a startling reality. Wagner has resisted police inquiries on the event for 37 years. He avoided being questioned, refused to meet with authorities, and never took part in any formal investigations. Lana and the public pressured him, and his only answer was, "I've said everything I know." Authorities were compelled to revisit the investigation in 2011 due to growing public pressure. Robert Wagner was formally designated as a person of interest in the inquiry by the police in 2018. New witnesses came forward and said they had heard cries from the boat before to Natalie's disappearance, supporting Captain Davern's claims. Robert Wagner was never prosecuted nonetheless, in spite of everything. He refused to comply and kept avoiding responsibility. Despite being in her 70s, Lana Wood is not giving up. She published Little Sister in 2021, which had even more startling details on Natalie's death and the secret evil in her life. "Do you believe Robert Wagner killed Natalie?" was a question posed during an interview. Lana gave a direct response. "Yes." Wagner never gave Lana a call after Natalie passed away. He was avoiding her, and she knew it. "RJ, why have you never called me?" She questioned him bluntly when she approached him at an event later. Wagner glanced at her, averted his gaze, and turned to go. They did not speak again after that. Wagner also made sure Natalie's kids, Courtney and Natasha, had no communication with Lana by cutting off their connections. Lana once said, "I don't hate him. I don't seek revenge. I just want the truth. I just want justice for my sister." But justice remained elusive because of Wagner's influence and power. Lana never gave up, however. She is still fighting over 40 years later, calling for investigations and making media appearances to keep the lawsuit going. A lady without riches, without influence, without a place in Hollywood. Nevertheless, she continues to pursue the truth, defying the strong world that protects Robert Wagner. And ultimately, the most important question is still unsolved. In reality, how did Natalie Wood pass away? Lana has been troubled by Natalie Wood's tragedy for many years. However, that wasn't the only terrible loss she had. If her sister's passing pulled her into a never-ending conflict with Hollywood, the 2017 death of her daughter, Evan Taylor Maldonado, sent her into financial devastation and the depths of misery. Lana had little financial or emotional assistance after losing her only child to heart failure at the age of 42. The catastrophe continued after that. She became formally homeless shortly after she and her 3 grandkids were evicted from their house. Lana Wood, an actress who has been in hundreds of films and TV shows, had to confront a hard reality now. No house, no money. Almost forgotten by the field she had spent her childhood in. However, what had really brought a former member of Diamonds Are Forever to this point? Lana thinks it all stems from Robert Wagner, the guy she has fought all her life. Lana claims that Wagner used his power to guarantee she would never be able to work in entertainment again. After voicing her concerns over Natalie's death, she was discreetly banned from Hollywood. It was allegedly disclosed by an ICM agent that Wagner had personally stepped in to ensure Lana would never have another chance to pursue acting or filmmaking. Due to her lack of a steady source of income, she was solely responsible for providing for her daughter, Evan, and her 3 grandkids. She was compelled to accept menial jobs in order to make ends meet, such as working in retail at Barney's or as an employee at Sprint, which had little to do with the profession she had previously sought. When Evan became very sick, things became worse. Medical costs were piling up. The costs continued to rise. Furthermore, Lana had little left after Evan's death. She and her 3 grandkids were forced to live in a cheap hotel in order to make ends meet after being evicted from their apartment due to non-payment of rent. Their situation became so bad at one point that they were forced to sleep in their vehicle. However, Lana Wood persisted even throughout the most difficult periods. She found a more secure residence with the help of the Motion Picture and Television Fund organization. She received some money to support herself from independent filmmakers who were not influenced by Wagner's influence and gave her parts in tiny films. Lana Wood's journey from Hollywood celebrity to destitute lady serves as a reminder of the harsh realities of the entertainment business. Nevertheless, she persisted in her quest to learn the truth about Natalie's death, in spite of all the losses she had suffered, refusing to submit to the powers who attempted to silence her in the past. One of the most tenacious voices in the struggle for Natalie Wood's justice has been Lana Wood. She faced several challenges during her career, but she never gave in to the pressures to suppress the truth. Hollywood was rocked by Lana's biography Little Sister, 2021, which exposed a terrible reality that the business had long attempted to ignore. The renowned actor Kirk Douglas had sexually raped Natalie Wood. This revelation, which came as a shock to the public when she was barely 16 years old, also sparked intense debates about the seedy side of Hollywood like never before. However, Lana did not just recite her experiences. She relentlessly sought the truth about her sister's death for decades. Natalie Wood's case was revived in 2011 because to her unwavering struggle, even though she was shunned, lost her job, and even ended up homeless. The investigation proceeded until Robert Wagner was formally designated as a person of interest in 2018. Lana has never faltered, but no definitive resolution has been achieved. Despite the passage of more than 40 years, she still speaks up and pursues justice. Lana Wood has had an impact that no one could have foreseen, going from a dazzling Bond girl to a woman who never gave up fighting for the truth. She is more than simply a historical figure in Hollywood. She is a representation of tenacity and defiance in the face of unfairness. Furthermore, Lana's voice has not yet been hushed. Though she hasn't completely left the limelight, Lana Wood is no longer the glitzy Hollywood figure she once was. She now focuses on her family and seeks calm after a lifetime of sorrow, living with her grandkids after years of upheaval. That does not imply, however, that she has given up on her profession. Even though she doesn't appear in popular films anymore, Lana still does independent work. She most recently starred with Eric Roberts in Dog Boy, 2022. Returning to cinema is more than simply a profession for her. It's a declaration that she was never really defeated, even if she was driven to the verge of homelessness. More significantly, she is still fighting for Natalie's justice. Lana persistently shows up in interviews to remind the public of the unsolved riddles and insists that the police follow the investigation to its completion. When she was younger, she was hesitant to question Robert Wagner's Hollywood power. However, Lana is no longer terrified after almost 40 years. Regardless of the repercussions, she speaks out. Lana Wood is a fighter who lost everything but never lost herself, while living in a world far different from the flash and glamour of Hollywood. And she still lives her life focused on one constant goal: the reality. Actress Lana Wood is more than just that. She is a representation of bravery and tenacity. She went through some of the worst hardships as a rising celebrity, including losing loved ones, being shunned by Hollywood, and even experiencing homelessness. But Lana never broke down in spite of everything. She never bowed to authority, never stopped searching for the truth about Natalie Wood's death, and she refused to remain quiet in the face of injustice. Regardless of the years that have gone by, she never gives up, even when her opponent is one of the most influential people in Hollywood. The case of Natalie is still unresolved. Lana Wood, however, won't give up. She keeps speaking up, demanding justice, and, above all, being the only one with the courage to face the reality that so many would want to ignore. She has a long way to go, Perhaps what viewers most want is not just justice for Natalie, but also proper acknowledgement for Lana Wood, a lady who has dedicated her life to standing up for what she feels is right. How do you feel about the tale of Lana Wood? Is Hollywood really able to conceal the truth forever? Please leave your comments below and check back soon for more information about Lana Wood and the startling mystery surrounding the untimely death of her sister, Natalie Wood. To ensure you don't miss any breaking news on the most contentious issues in Hollywood, don't forget to press subscribe and enable alerts. I'll see you in the next video.